completely different. Anyway, that's all I need to say. 20 minutes for presentation, and then there should be a few minutes left for questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Duncan. Thanks, and thank you for coming. I realized from the little that I've seen about the conference today that my topic is very specialized and very focused. So I welcome questions throughout the presentation rather than at the end, because I may go into areas that may be or may not be unknown and not that familiar to you. I have the pleasure of being the director of Syracuse University in Florence. I've been in this field, international education, for almost 15 years now. And prior to starting working for Syracuse University, I worked for Monash University, which is the largest Australian university, and that gave me a very broad perspective of what international education is these days, and so a larger understanding of the management of human resources in international education. So what I will discuss today is, as I said, a very, very, do you mind closing the door? Thank you. It's a very, very focused topic, and as Duncan pointed out, is very different from the other topics that I've seen in the program of the conference. I will talk about human resources management in study abroad programs. So, what do you expect? What do you think are the difficulties in managing human resources in a study abroad program? Do you have any experience in international education? You've probably not been exposed to this. You have.
Yes.
There's one here, clashes of legal, labor, and work systems and standards, which is quite obvious, but
I've taught a lot in Cuba, in universities, various universities, and so that's my understanding of international education, is that I go from Canada to Cuba and then I come back, and so I'm very international. But what do you precisely mean by international education?
Well, international education, and thank you, because again, I may be a bit too focused on my little area today. International education these days is studying, there's a debate, there's an academic debate about what we can refer to when we talk about international education. Some may refer to international education as to the bringing literacy to some countries, generally called the underdeveloped countries, and some may refer to international education as the agenda of some universities to internationalize the curriculum and make the academic curriculum more international, because we all see and understand how it's more and more important to be exposed to international and global issues. What I refer to when I talk about international education is the study of flows and streams of students and academics around the globe. So literally, when we move a number of students from US to study to Florence, to study art history in Florence, that's international education. When we move faculty from Canada to Cuba, that's international education. When we move a law program from Monash University in Australia to South Africa to study international law, that's international education. So that's what I deal with. I run a program that attracts roughly 700 students per year. So that's a large program for a study abroad program. Our little campus is based on 6 buildings. It has been established in Florence in 1959, and my staff and faculty is based on 70 people roughly between staff and faculty. So, and I'm legally responsible for everything and everyone. So it's quite a large operation compared to the average study abroad program. And so human resources is a major area of these things, and it's very relevant, in my opinion, to the broader issue of education, because the way human resources are managed, of course, affects what happens in the classroom ultimately. So I'll try to keep this as broad as possible, and please stop me if again I'm going to too many details. So one of the problems that we face, what happens, we have a faculty that goes from Canada and studies in Cuba. What happens is we have a university sending students and faculty in another country. What are the difficulties that probably are not that evident? The clashes of the two legal systems. Legal labor. then the challenges that the senior management faces, and I will go into that later on. So how can we administer this in a better way? What about visas? What about grading system? What kind of system do we use? Do we use the Cuban system? Do we use the Canadian system? What about the orientation for faculty? What about multicultural skills? What about faculty who go through culture shock? I mean, these are all some of the issues that are behind the scenes of this area. Position descriptions and responsibilities. I'll talk again about this. These are the 5 main areas that I will discuss today. I will go into more details. I will talk about the workload and position description in international education and study abroad programs. The professional identity. What are we? Are we part of the home campus system? Are we not? How are we defined? What is our professional identity? What are the skills that may be demanded from us and what we shouldn't expect from study abroad professionals? What is the formal educational path existing for us in this field? The numbers are growing, by the way. Sorry. And yeah, on this point, I hope I'm not gonna broke my leg and I'm not drunk. Not yet. Anyway, we know, you know, we all know that we are facing an economic crunch right now, but the international education business is the only one that is currently growing. More and more students and more faculty are going to study abroad. It's a growing sector, so that's very important. That's why these topics are becoming more relevant. So I will discuss these 5 points today. I will try to be quick, but also, you know, broader if possible. And I'll start with the clashes of legal and labor systems. So obviously the legal labor systems are different in the 2 countries. Thank you very much. Thanks. The salary ranges are different as well. So when, you know, one of the topics that we often have to discuss in our field, you know, how to discuss the salaries. Do you discuss them based on the ranges that are on the host countries? Do you discuss them based on the salaries that are on home campus? You know, what are the requests being done for a professional? The work ethics and staff performance expectations are different. The recruitment and training are done in a different way, and often there's no training for us in this field, no formal training, not standardized, well thought of, and that's why we as educators should think about this. And there are also a lot of cross-cultural adjustment and challenges among staff. I don't know what was your experience in Cuba, but sometimes there may be expectations, not just on the part of students, but also on the part of faculty in terms of what you may find when you're abroad. Sometimes even having a computer or a wireless system can be problematic when teaching abroad or when studying abroad. So these are minor things. And then quite typical in our field is the cross-cultural burnout. Therefore, we have a lot of high turnover in our field. The second topic, again, that I kind of want to just very quickly touch on is the senior management's challenges at the home campus. The senior management function as a bridge between the home campus and the study abroad program. And generally, not always, but generally the senior management are, like in my case, my wonderful boss. She's the Associate Provost of International Education at the home campus. That's her role. So her role and her function is to internationalize you know, the curriculum development and also literally manage all the international operations. We have 8 programs around the world. Florence is just one of them, and a lot of partnership with other universities. And she also is in charge of international students at the home campus. So let's see, when I go to her and I present her with my problems in Florence, you know, about, you know, labor law has changed, contracts have to be redone, this is going to cost more. How does that impact on the fees that the students will have to pay? So she will have to face all those problems and also face the problem that some faculty at the home campus may perceive study abroad as competitive with their own classes, because we are technically taking away students from the classes at the home campus. So the senior management is facing with an analytic dilemma. You know, do we want or don't we want to study abroad? We want students to be internationalized and globalized, but at the same time, you know, our faculty don't want students to go away. That's a waste of time. They're just getting drunk. Why send them out of the, you know, yeah, that's, you know, that's not a study, a real study opportunity. Why don't we, you know, just keep them in class and let them do their job? And that's, you know, the responses that senior management has to respond. Then, are we, as I said, are we part of the home campus or not? Do we use the same assessment that are used at the home campus? We use the same professional levels? Can we go to the same resources? You know, there are a lot of resources. I remember when I was working at Monash, there was a service center for stress management, but that was only available to people working in Melbourne, not for us working in Prato. So all these differences. How can the human resources management practices in place at the home campus, can you see, I'm sorry, translate in the host country? These are some of the questions. How can the senior management be properly informed? How, you know, how can we make sure that the information provided is that, you know, it's more helpful to make important decisions? And how can the operations be planned strategically so that decisions are made in a strategic